Hi, it's Jamie and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to share with you my top 3 budget categories I think you absolutely have to add into your budget if you don't have them already. They have changed our budget and transformed the way we do our budget. All right, before we launch into today's budgeting categories, I want to take a second to ask you to hit subscribe down below. And if you want to get reminders and notifications of when I post new videos, hit that little bell just to make sure that that happens. So then you're going to get more videos on how to budget, how to save money, and how to continue working to get out of debt. All right, let's dive into today's budgeting tips. The first budgeting tip I have to help make your budget a little bit more freeing is to give yourselves a personal allowance. So I remember when I was a kid, I always wanted to have an allowance and do chores around the house so I could earn a little bit of spending money. This personal allowance is kind of like that, but also very different. This is money that is specifically set aside ahead of time for your personal spending that you can spend guilt-free on anything you want. Like I said, it gives you permission to spend money on things that you want, things that bring joy to you, things that add value to your life. Another beautiful thing about the personal spending money that I love is it provides a lot of flexibility and freedom in your budget. A lot of times when people think of budgets, they think of restrictions, limits, and it just kind of makes you feel all tense and anxious inside. But budgets don't have to do that. Budgets, when done well and done correctly, actually give you permission to spend money on the things you want to spend money on. And sometimes those things you want to spend money on don't fit into like the grander scheme of your budget. For example, I want to buy all sorts of Dungeons and Dragons minis and books, and I want to buy gear for my bike and upgrade my bike and buy a new bike. That doesn't all fit into our budget all the time. So having a personal allowance allows me to spend my money on that stuff. I don't have to check in with my wife. I don't have to worry about any like budget shaming or spend shaming that she's going to put on me, or that I might put on her and vice versa. I just get to spend that money however I want, guilt-free. Right now, I spend $50 a month, and a lot of times I actually don't spend a lot of it. I just save it up because I'm saving for bigger things like a new computer or a new bike. But it can add a lot of freedom into your budget, and I highly, highly recommend adding a personal allowance in your budget if you don't already. So before I move on to the next one, I want to just take a second. If you've got a guilty pleasure, something you love spending money on, like for me it's Dungeons and Dragons stuff. I just love Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe I'll make a video on that someday. Anyway, drop a comment, leave it down in the section below. I'd love to know what your guilty pleasures on. If you could spend all the money in the world on stuff, what would it be that you would feel no guilt or shame about, that you would use your personal allowance money to spend money on? Okay, the second budgeting category that I think every budget should have, it's kind of two broken into one, so I'm cheating a little bit here. It's a community fund or a date fund, or really both. And so I just want to take a second to explain what those things are. So a community fund, my wife and I just think it's incredibly important and valuable to invest in the people in our community, our friends, our family. And a lot of times that looks like going out for drinks or going over to their house to watch a movie, or for us, we love watching The Bachelor every week with our friends. And so we are bringing drinks over, we're bringing food over, and all that stuff costs money. And a lot of times when you want to hang out with friends, going out for drinks, going out for food or dinner, it costs money. And so I think it's incredibly valuable to build in a section of your budget that addresses that need, that addresses that value that you have to be social and be around other people. And so it's already intentionally built into your budget ahead of time. You don't have to feel guilty about spending it. If you want to go pick up a Papa Murphy's pizza on the way to a friend's house to watch a movie, you've got money set aside in your budget to do that. The second part of this is the date fund. And my wife and I, when we first started budgeting, didn't have this. And it was really frustrating, to be honest. We wanted to go on dates. We wanted to spend time together. And yeah, we found a lot of cheap and free ways to do that. But we also wanted sometimes to like have a fancier date night. We wanted to go out for dinner. We wanted to go on coffee dates or anything that involved just spending some money. And we felt really tight and restricted. After a couple of years, we added in a date fund. There was $50 every month that we could spend to go on dates with each other, that we could treat each other to things that we wanted, and we didn't have to feel guilty about that because we planned it ahead of time. That's what I love about budgeting, is making a plan with your money before you start spending it so that you know what you want to spend money on and you don't end up wasting money on stupid stuff. So a date fund has been huge for my wife and I over the years. And if you're sitting here watching this thinking like, great, I'm not married, I'm not dating somebody, I'm single, and I don't have somebody to go on dates with. I think that's where you can refer back to that community fund, where you're spending time with people. It might not be a significant other, but you're intentionally spending time with people, and that might be over drinks or dinner, or maybe you're going out and looking to meet that special somebody, and you want to have a part in your budget that allows you to do that. And so a community fund or date fund, I think, is a perfect place for that, to fit that into your budget, which is why I think it's so important. Whether you're single, whether you're dating, whether you're married, a date fund or a community fund really helps you be spontaneous. It helps you have fun with your budget and do things that you really enjoy with the people that you love to spend time with. The last budget category that I think every budget should have is a giving section in your budget. And for us, when we started budgeting, we made the choice to tithe every month. And so that's just part of our faith, part of our beliefs, is to tithe and give 10% of our income back to our church, so that our church can continue to do Jesus' work in our community. And that's just something that we find really valuable and important. And in doing that, we've found a lot of blessings in giving to our church and tithing. If you're somebody who that faith isn't part of your budget, isn't part of your beliefs or value system, that is 100% okay. I think giving is still an important section to put in your budget. It's just going to look different. A couple years into budgeting, we were doing our tithing, and we were loving doing that, but we felt like we wanted to do more. We wanted to do more than just give that 10%. So we created a section of budget that was just called giving. And we took $50 a month, and we decided we wanted to give that away to people, friends, family, community organizations that we felt needed the money more than we did. Giving in practical sense, I think, is a good way to include giving into your budget. And carving out a piece of your budget to invest and give to those people every month, I think, is really important, not only for them, but also for you. It doesn't always have to be money either. You don't just have to give money or send checks. While that stuff is awesome, I don't think anybody's going to turn away a check in the mail. But it could be making meals for people, buying gifts for people. Actually, when we had our daughter, one of the best things that our friends and family did for us, they set up a meal train. So for the first month and a half, 2 months of our daughter's life, we didn't have to cook any meals. We didn't have to think about meal planning or meal prep or buying many groceries, because we had a bunch of frozen meals that friends and family provided for us. So maybe that's the way you start giving, is providing meals for people, sending meals to people, buying gifts for people just because you're thinking of them, or that they are going through a tough time. Anything to really brighten somebody up and show people compassion. That's one thing I love about giving, and why I think it's such an important part of your budget. It seems kind of counterproductive to give money away, to send money out of your household, and have that help your budget. But in all honesty, giving is a lot more about kind of you and your heart than it is about your budget. Giving our stuff away, whether it be money, time, meals, is a way that it teaches us to be content and thankful for the things that we do have. And I think right now is a really good time to be thinking about that, even more than usual. Thinking about how other people are doing, how we can be acting with compassion toward them. And when you give intentionally, when you do it consistently, it helps you become more outward focused on other people, things that are going on around you, rather than like just frugally holding on to every single dollar that you can. I absolutely understand where you're coming from if that's what you're doing, because we definitely did that at one point in our budget too. So if you can add giving into your budget at all, whether it is through productive or practical gifts, whether it's through tithing or both, I think is a really valuable thing that you can add to your budget that's going to bring a lot of value to your community and to yourselves as well. So those are my top 3 budgeting categories I think absolutely every budget should have. And if your budget doesn't have that, I would highly suggest thinking about it, talking about it with your partner if you have one, and seeing how those might fit into your values, fit into the things that you want to do with your money. Again, the 3 are a personal spending allowance for you and your partner if you have one, a community fund or a date fund, or both if you're feeling like you have the extra money to do that, and then some sort of giving fund, whether it be a tithe or you're just doing practical gifts for people that you love and care about, or people that you don't know and organizations in your community. So again, I believe these 3 budget categories are going to create a lot of freedom in your budget. It's going to bring a lot of joy to your budget in the long run. And I know they did that for us. We feel great about doing those things in our budget, and it's brought us a lot of freedom and flexibility to our budget. So before you go, I just want to take one last second. Leave any comments and questions you have in the section below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up if you like the video, or I guess the thumbs down if you didn't like the video. And before you go, just hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get more budgeting tips delivered directly to you. You don't have to go searching for them. And I'm also going to include a list of my favorite tools to budget, save money, and help yourself get out of debt. So I'm going to leave a bunch of links in the description down below, including budget templates, debt snowball spreadsheet, and some great companies that I love and affiliate partners that I think do really great things and I really believe in. So until next time, happy budgeting.